Hello. So I'm going to first, I might have spelled that a little bit. I'm first going to play a little ditty. I'm going to read a passage from Fellowship of the Ring, right? Because frankly, it's my favorite passage from the Fellowship of the Ring. One of my favorite passages, at least. And it has a very good poem in it. And I'm going to read that. But first, I want to play a little. Sorry, my breathing's acting up again. I want to play a little song first. Little ditty I mentioned. So if I can find my plectrum, here we are. Hope you'll be able to hear me. Ignore any outside noise that may be going on. I do have very noisy people who live with me. See if I can remember it. I've been feeling lightheaded since I lost another weight to the back of my skin. Flower petals and feathers telling me to the ground, pound for pound. Take my teeth off from all the hide from my feminine side since the day that I died. Well, I whittle my bones till I'm brittle and I'm pretty now. No, that's not it. That's not it again. For some reason I find myself lost in what you think of me, and too confused to choose who I should be. And you got me thinking I wish I could be a girl in that way. You wish I could be your girlfriend, boyfriend. Am I pretty enough to like to? Oh, I wish I could be a girl in that way. You wish I could be your girlfriend, boyfriend. Just a little of me in a big, big world. Little of me in a big world. I wish I was a girl. La 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 hey. La la la. Here we go. I think most people watching the video might know what song that is. I Me, Myself, I Will Would. You probably already knew that. No need for me to tell you. I do like that song. I do like it. I switch between listening to the studio version and the live version, the 2018 like demo live version. I do like both. And he did do. I think he did do a version with the classical Spanish guitar. Of course, it wasn't like mine. He did like some stuff in it which I didn't do. I just played the chords. But we're going to get to the passage in Fellowship of the Ring, if I can find it. It's in chapter 11, Knife in the Dark. Here it is. So to set the scene up, we have Aragorn. And Aragorn is with the hobbits. Frodo, Sam, Merry, and Pippin. And this is right before they go to Weathertop, and they go and they speak with... No, they don't speak with... They have their encounter with the Nazgul. And... yeah, they're kind of with the Nazgul. And this is right before that. Sorry if I lost my train of thought there.
Yeah, so we're opening up with Aragorn, or he's called Strider here, talking with the hobbits. As night fell and the light of the fire began to shine out brightly, he, Strider, began to tell them tales to keep their minds from fear. He knew many histories and legends of long ago, of elves and men and the good and evil deeds of the elder days. They wondered how old he was and where he had learned all this lore. Tell us of Gil-galad, said Merry suddenly when he paused at the end of his story of the elf kingdoms. Do you know any more of that old lay that you spoke of? I do indeed, answered Strider. So also does Frodo, for it concerns us closely. Merry and Pippin looked at Frodo, who was staring into the fire. I know only the little that Gandalf has told me, said Frodo slowly. Gil-galad was the last of the great elf kings of Middle-earth. Gil-galad is starlight in their tongue. With Elendil, the elf friend, he went to the land of— No! Said Strider, interrupting. I do not think that tale should be told now with the servants of the enemy at hand. If you win through to the house of Elrond, you may hear it there, told in full. Then tell us some other tale of the old days, begged Sam. A tale about the elves before the fading time. I would dearly like to hear more about elves. The dark seems to press round so close. I will tell you the tale of Tinuviel, said Strider. In brief, for it is a long tale of which the end is not known, and there are none now except Elrond that remember it aright as it was told of old. It is a fair tale, though it is sad, as are all the tales of Middle-earth. Yet it may lift up your hearts. He was silent for some time, and then he began not to speak, but to chant slowly, and then it goes into the poem. The leaves were long, the grass was green, the hemlock umbels tall and fair, and in the glade a light was seen of stars and shadows shimmering. Tinuviel was dancing there to music of a pipe unseen, and light of stars was in her hair and in her raiment glimmering. There Beren came from mountains cold, and lost he wandered under leaves, and where the elven river rolled, he walked alone and sorrowing. He peered between the hemlock leaves, and saw in wonder flowers of gold, upon her mantle and her sleeves, and her hair like shadow following. Enchantment healed his weary feet that over hills were doomed to roam, and forth he hastened strong and fleet, and grasped at moonbeams glistening. Through woven woods and elven homes she lightly fled on dancing feet, and led him lonely still to roam in this silent forest listening. He heard there oft the flying sound of feet as light as linden leaves, or music welling underground in hidden hollows quivering, or quavering, it says written here. Now withered lay the hemlock sheaves, and one by one with sighing sound, whispering fell the beechen leaves, in the wintry woodland wavering. He sought her ever, wandering far, where leaves of years were thickly strewn, by light of moon and ray of star, in frosty heavens shivering. Her mantle glinted in the moon, as on a hilltop high and far. She danced, and at her feet was strewn a mist of silver quivering. When winter passed, she came again, and her song released the sudden spring, like rising lark and falling rain and melting water bubbling. He saw the elven flowers spring about her feet and healed again. He longed by her to dance and sing upon the grass untroubling. Again she fled, but swift he came, Tinuviel, Tinuviel. He called her by her elvish name, and there she halted, listening. One moment stood she, and a spell his voice laid on her, Beren came, and doom fell on Tinuviel, that in his arms lay glistening. As Beren looked into her eyes within the shadows of her hair, the trembling starlight of the skies he saw there mirrored shimmering. Tinuviel, the elven fair, immortal maiden elven wise, about him cast her shadowy hair, and arms like silver glimmering. Long was the way that fate then bore, over stony mountains cold and gray, through halls of iron and darkling door, the sundering seas between them lay, and yet at last they met once more, and long ago they passed away, in the forest singing sorrowless. And there we're done with that, with the poem of Strider. Strider recites to the hobbits. Strider sighed and paused before he spoke again. That is a song, he said, in the mode that is called Anthenoth among the elves, but is hard to render in our common speech, and this is but a rough echo of it. It tells of the meeting of Beren, son of Barahir, and Luthien to Nuviel. Beren was a mortal man, but Luthien was the daughter of Thingol, king of elves upon Middle-earth when the world was young, and she was the fairest maiden that has ever been among all the children of this world. As the stars above the mists of the northern lands was her loveliness, and in her face was a shining light. In those days the great enemy, of whom Sauron of Mordor was but a servant, dwelt at Ogband in the north, and the elves of the west, coming back to Middle-earth, made war upon him to regain the Silmarils which he had stolen. And the fathers of men aided the elves. But the enemy was victorious, and Barahir was slain, and Beren, escaping through great peril, came over the mountains of Terror into the hidden kingdom of Thingol, in the forests of Neldoreth. There he beheld Luthien singing and dancing in a glade beside the enchanted river Escaldwin, and he named her Tinuviel, that is, nightingale in the language of old. Many sorrows befell them afterwards, and they were parted long. Tinuviel rescued Beren from the dungeons of Sauron, and together they passed through great dangers and cast down even the great enemy from his throne, and took from his iron crown the 3 Silmarils, brightest of all jewels, to be the bride piece of Luthien to Thingol her father. Yet at the last, Beren was slain by the wolf that came from the gates of Longband, and he died in the arms of Tinuviel. But she chose mortality, and to die from the world so that she might follow him, and it is sung that they met again beyond the sundering seas. And after a brief time walking alive once more in the green woods, together they passed, long ago, beyond the confines of this world. So it is that Luthien Tinuviel, alone of elf kindred, had died indeed, and left the world. And they have lost her whom they most loved. But from her, the lineage of the elf lords of old, descended among men. There live still those of whom Luthien was the foremother, and it is said that her line shall never fail. Elrond of Rivendell is of that kin. For of Beren and Luthien was born Dior Thingol's heir, and of him Elwing the White, whom Earendel wedded, he that sailed his ship out of the mists of the world into the seas of heaven with the Silmaril upon his brow. In Earendel came the kings of Númenor, that is, Westernesse. Great passage, I must say. Great poem. I'm not saying this like I'm in like a what's the word in a dismissive way. I hope my tone doesn't make it sound like that. That it is one of my favorite passages in the Fellowship of the Ring and in Lord of the Rings in general. I love that passage. I just read. You feel like you really, for some reason, in that passage, you really felt like one of the hobbits listening to Aragorn speak of the days of old, of elves and the war, and of Beren and Tinuviel. You really do feel like Sam. You want to know more. You want to know more about it. And that I feel like that was Mr. Tolkien's strength, was he made us care about this world that we will never get to visit. And of course, every author does that to an extent, but Tolkien really managed to make us feel for the world like how the characters felt for it. He made us feel for the Shire the way the hobbits felt about the Shire when Middle-earth is at stake. The only thing that keeps Frodo and Sam going is remembering that the Shire is at stake. And truly, I feel like in The Lord of the Rings, that's the place which we go. What's the way I'm trying to say this? That's our home base too, the Shire. Especially if you read The Hobbit, I feel like Tolkien sets it up not only as the home, as like the home in the minds of hobbits, but also in our minds People people do truly feel for the Shire. Shire feels like home. It's a case of, what's the Welsh term? Hiraeth, which is a longingness for a home that never existed. It's that nostalgia. People feel a longingness, a home, a hope. No, not a hope. A longing for the Shire, at least a place like the Shire. And that's why places like the Shire movie set in New Zealand, or and stuff like that, people people are enamored by places like that. It feels like home. Tolkien really managed to feel like home to everybody who reads the Lord of the Rings, and the Hobbit. And it reminds you that C.S. Lewis quote, where he says, "The fact that men yearn for a home which earth cannot provide proves that they were meant for heaven." I think that's a really good way of putting it, I guess, because the animals of I might be rambling here. I have nothing to do with the passage I just read, but animals, most creatures, they don't have a longing for anything that's not of the earth. They long for food, and for food and for drink, and of course men do too. Men do too, but I don't think animals can long for something that's not of the earth. Like, think of a dog. If you provide a dog food, water, shelter, and love, of course, you're certainly providing for that dog's needs. A dog doesn't want anything beyond that. But what is it about men that makes them want to have something beyond what the earth can provide? And not only does it echo the Shire, just like like directly tying into the passage because it's from Lord of the Rings. Yeah, that's not only tying into the Shire, but that's tying into the idea of heaven as a tying into the idea of heaven as a whole. Because how can just animals, just creatures, want yearn for something like the Shire or heaven? How can that happen? How can that happen? I'm rambling. I'm gonna end the thing here. The thing is 17 minutes long, but that is something to think about. And though we haven't, and though in the yeah, though when you read the Fellowship of the Ring, you don't know yet, but Aragorn is the heir to the throne of Numenor. I think that's it, and that's why a lot of these poems matter to him. This lore. That's why he knows it. I'm rambling. I'm rambling, of course. This I just rambled on about like a random C.S. Lewis quote that has nothing to do with the passage I just read, but I guess my point is that Tolkien has this way, especially shown in the passage I just read. I think that was my point. Has this ability to not drag us into the world, not drag us into it, but make us yearn for a world which feels to us as home. To some, Middle Earth feels like home. It feels like a place that we've been, not just a place we've been, but a place we've lived in. It doesn't need to be Shire. It can be Rivendell. It can be one of the cities of the dwarves. It doesn't have to be the Shire. But that's why people love these books. It's not just the story. Of course, the stories. The stories are really good. Of course, that's what books are, stories. But I feel like what makes people really care about Lord of the Rings is that it feels like not just a real place, Middle Earth, but home. I feel like that's the greatest strength of Tolkien's world, of Tolkien's writing. And I don't know if anybody will ever be able to do the same thing. Because some people, because some writers, like, George R. R. Martin, some others, want to make fantasy like reality. You know? And I can get that to an extent. I can get that. But at least I have never felt like not invested, not invested. Not that I'm not invested, but no one ever feels. I don't. Not no one. I don't feel the same connection to those worlds as the world of Middle Earth, and it might just be a preference thing. But I think it's just because that that Tolkien has this special ability to make us feel for this world, and it's nothing like ours. It's nothing like our world. The only similarities between our world and Middle Earth is that it has weather. It's that the sun shines. There's rain. There are men, and there is good and evil, and that's it. Of course, I'm being hyperbolic. My point is that the world of Middle Earth does not have a lot of common qualities. It's not realistic. You know what I mean? It's not a very realistic world. But this world somehow feels more believable. The world feels more. People can get more invested in the world of Middle Earth than somehow in the more realistic worlds of other books. And I don't know why that is. Why people feel Hiraeth for the world of Middle Earth, but not so much for other worlds. And of course, it's a preference thing. I mean, Narnia. I guess I think people feel the same way for Narnia. You know, but even then in Narnia, from the perspective of the characters, you're stepping in. You're already an outsider stepping in. But with Tolkien, of course, you're already in the world. You're not experiencing the entire world for the first time. You're going from a familiar place, the Shire, in the world, and then into other, places that are new, both to the reader and to the characters. And I'm rambling on. Again, I have a propensity to ramble on, but it's a great passage of the book, and maybe I can make another video about the world of Middle Earth. Why do people love the world of Middle Earth? Why do people feel so much about Middle Earth? Why is it that? But Middle Earth is the only fantasy world, where if you disrespect the geography of Middle Earth, people will get mad. Like your Rings of Power. Hey, they'll go from one place to one place in a span of time that does not make any sense geographically. Like if you pulled up a map, it would make no sense. Like they'll cut from one place to another and people will notice that they'll be like, that makes no sense. How did they get there so quick? It's like this far apart, and you're acting like it's this far apart. And Middle Earth, I feel like, is the only fantasy world that not only people notice that, but they'll get angry. They will get angry if you disrespect it. Because the world does feel, again, it does feel very, very real. And to not take the distances of places into account, it makes the world feel less believable, less real. And again, I don't know what it is about Middle Earth. Is it like an idealism that Middle Earth is an idealistic world? No, Middle Earth is far from a perfect world, and there's evil like our world. There's good and there's evil like in our world. And there are righteous creatures and there are wicked creatures. there are great there are great victories and terrible losses. There are fallen civilizations. It's not like it's a perfect world. It's not. So it's not like people flock to this world because it's uh, a perfect world. Nor do I think that the world of Middle Earth is. Um, I don't think that the world of Middle Earth is very. The world of Middle Earth isn't a very. Like, if you were to go to Middle Earth from our world and you were expecting a perfect world, I think you'd be very disappointed, especially if you came in at the during the Third Age, during the events of Lord of the Rings. You'll find that the on like the single person like scale experience of the world is going to be similar. Of course, I talk about similarities like earlier. I meant like macro level similarities, like general similarities. Of course, like on the one person level, it's going to be a very similar experience to not modern world. I mean, like just like in general, like human experience. So it's not like people love Middle Earth because it's a realistic world, nor do they flock to Middle Earth because it's a perfect world. People may just love it because it's escapism. Maybe that could be it. I mean, that's the first. I think that's the first thing people would say is that escapism. People want to leave, but then again, if people want to have some kind of escapism, I feel like they'd want to go somewhere where there isn't such a strong, big struggle between good and evil, like in Middle Earth. Middle Earth is always grasped by, at least in most times, grasped by a tug of war between good and evil. I think between Morgoth, I think that was his name, Morgoth or Sauron or whoever else. It's always that tug of war between good and evil. And I don't, and I never, I didn't, I don't know. I'm not sure of all the canon events that happened after the events of Lord of the Rings and Middle Earth, but I do think that afterwards. I mean, I think afterwards, evil still continues to exist. Maybe not like represented by Sauron, but it certainly does have to exist. I mean, even after Sauron falls, after Sauron is defeated, there are still like evil creatures, like evil people, wicked people in the world of Middle Earth. So I don't think people go to Middle Earth just because of pure escapism, because they would want. I feel like if you were to go to a world, you wouldn't for escapism. You wouldn't want to go to a world that is so gripped by good and evil, like the tussle as our world is. I think that might be why people love the Shire so much. I'm not beginning to think about it because the Shire very much represents the beginning of our journey and before we are truly thrust away from the Shire into the great big world of Middle Earth, and we have to deal with Nazgul and all of that, all of the dangers. The Shire feels safe. The Shire is like, when they leave Shire, it's very much a we're not in Kansas anymore moment. That's when the book really gets real. That's when the true danger starts. Is when they leave the Shire. The Shire is a safe haven. So that might be why people like the Shire so much. It's a safe haven. I'm rambling on. The ideas are crossing over each other and they're not very well defined. And I've stopped talking because I lost my train of thought. Maybe this will jog it. Yeah. So maybe on the Shire level, it is just pure escapism. Going to a perfect world because the Shire The Shire is supposed to. The Shire is what people, I guess, want. That would be escapism, I think, just talking about the Shire, right? Because you know what is the Shire? It's a cozy English village. Not perfect. There's certainly but the only troubles in the Shire are interpersonal squabbles between neighbors, not big grand plots of evil. The plots of evil, not big grand plots of evil forces, like how it is in what's happening in the rest of Middle Earth. To the hobbits of the Shire, it's just Mr. Higgins planted his cabbages a little bit too close to my garden, whatever. I forgot. I can't make up a hobbit name. Hobbit last name. And you know, I've seen like the Hobbit. No, the. Do you want something more here? I've seen like the Shire ambience. And people in the comments section, people love the Shire. They're not talking about Middle Earth at large. They're just talking about the Shire. So I think in that sense, the Shire is escapism. Might be escapism. But for the world at large, for the world at large of Middle Earth, people still care about the entirety of Middle Earth, not just the Shire. People deeply care about the entirety of Middle Earth. So I don't know why that is. Why? Is it because it feels real? Because Tolkien certainly puts in the work to make the world feel real, at least in terms of history and language, and the fact that the languages evolve. The world feels like it has a history. It's not just the present time. It's not you're not just getting a knowledge of the world of how it is at the present time. You're getting a whole history. You're getting a background. It feels like our world because there's all this stuff that you haven't experienced in the history. That may be it, or that may be it. But then again, a lot of worlds have history. Fantasy worlds do. But the Elder Scrolls has a bunch of history for its world, Tamriel, or Nirn period, but mostly just Tamriel. And I think so does the Song of Wind and Ice and George R.R. Martin's books. I don't know how I forgot the name for those. The Game of Thrones things. So do those. But again, though there are fans, certainly of those worlds are fans. Bunch of fans, millions of fans. I don't think those fans feel so deeply connected to those worlds as do people do for Middle Earth. I don't understand what it is about Middle Earth. And again, maybe I can talk about another video. I might have to do some psychological digging. I might have to go on like Google Scholar a little bit. But that certainly is a mystery. Why do people feel for this world like they do? Why do I feel for this world like I do? Anyways, that's it for this video. My video where I play a song and then ramble on about the world of Middle Earth. Okay. I certainly hope you enjoyed it. I was originally going to post this somewhere else, but then I realized it's a 34-minute video of me just rambling about Lord of the Rings. And it certainly can't be posted on the original avenues that I was going to post it on. So now I guess I'm going to have to post it somewhere else. I'm probably going to post it on YouTube because I haven't posted there in a while. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. I feel like the best way to watch this video is to just put it on in the background while you do something. Not to actually watch the screen, because I'm just sitting here cocking my head and drinking tea with absolutely nothing going on in the background. There's nothing visually interesting going on in this video. It's just me sitting here at my somewhat comfortable chair that I got from Amazon talking about the Lord of the Rings. I'm not with these kinds of videos. I'm not ever going to edit something in. I'm not ever going to, unless it's vitally important. I might like edit in something to post like up here or somewhere, but I'm never going to, I think, put a bunch of flashing lights and sounds and thingamabobs, unnecessary subtitles down here to keep people's attention. If they want to watch or listen to the video, they can. I'm not gonna sit here and do all those tricks and ringing bells for the sake of getting this video on people's recommended pages. If people want to watch it, I feel like the amount of people who are going to watch this video are very niche. Even the people who are going to watch to the end, I feel like the amount of people who are going to click on this video are going to be like, I feel like 10 people are going to click on this video, and then the amount of people are going to watch this video to the end is going to be 1. Right? But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if you want to see more. I'm probably going to do other videos. These videos are very fun to make for me. I do like talking about this stuff. I might talk about other books. Like I have The Confessions of St. Augustine right there. I have Great Gatsby, 1984. I've read those books. There's some other ones. I might talk about the Bible or whatever. Edgar Allan Poe, a bunch of classics, a bunch of classic stuff, a bunch of stuff you've probably read about before. But I do these videos for fun. I don't do these for fame or fortune. I don't do these for the reasons why people fall to the One Ring. I do these because they're fun and I like to do them. But yeah, for the third time, thank you for watching or listening to the video. And let me know if there's anything you'd like me to talk about. Put it in the comments. And yeah, see ya, I guess.